Welcome to this short tutorial on painting my 3D printed cobblestone bases for fantasy miniatures. I'm Jason, the creator of the tabletop battlefield. When it comes to painting this type of base, there's only a few colors you really actually need. I'm using a base color, which is a gray. In this case, it is Dawnstone from Citadel's line of paints. I'm using a highlight color, which is Linen White from the Reaper Master series. I have a brown color, which is Oak Brown from the Army Painters War Paint series. And finally, I have a shade color, which is Nun Oil from the Citadel line of paints as well. This particular technique uses a whole bunch of thinned down paints, so you do need some sort of palette, ideally a wet palette, to where you can kind of mix the paints and thin them down. But the process is pretty straightforward and simple. This process involves adding multiple colors of paints as a set. During a given set, you want to go ahead and apply the paint before the previous color is fully dry, because you're trying to mix all the different shades of color together. But once you complete a set, you want to take enough time such that all the paints have dried before you apply a new set of paint. So for each set, start by applying a thinned down layer of gray, and then mix in different amounts of white to kind of give the rocks some highlights and a little bit different shades and different colors. You're trying to go for subtle variations in the color of the rocks to try to make them look a little bit more natural. And go ahead and apply some brown in these rocks, kind of give the illusion of maybe some mud stains in the rocks, or perhaps there's some sort of mineral content in the rocks that's tinting their color just a little bit. And like I said, once this set of paints is dried, go ahead and do this process one more time. More thinned down gray, more thinned down white, maybe some more thinned down brown. It's really up to you. The number of times you want to repeat adding these sets of paints is truly up to you. The more sets you apply, the more opaque your color is going to be, and the less noticeable whatever your undercoated prime color was going to be. But like I said, it's really up to you. For this particular demo, I applied about 3 sets of paints. Once you're happy with your rock color, go back with the brown color, mix it in even more with the gray color to get something that's a more stronger brown color, and paint this in between the rocks. You're trying to give the illusion that maybe these are cobblestones sitting in a mud or dirt road. Finally, once you've got a nice tint of brown between all the rocks, go back over the areas between the rocks with your shade. So in this case, I'm using Nun Oil from the Citadel line of paints, and you want to apply multiple layers of this shade. You're really trying to darken down the areas between the rocks to really give the illusion there's some depth there between the stones. Now, of course, when you're working with the shade, you don't have to keep it all between the rocks. Feel free to put a little bit on the stones just to give them some even more color variation. Now, this last step is optional. It's up to you if you really want to do it. I'm going to go ahead and do it here for this particular base. But you want to coat the edges of the base in a nice solid color. So just that way it gives them a little bit more of a cleaner look, I suppose. So I'm going to use some Abaddon Black from Games Workshop's Citadel line of paints. That is because I actually primed this particular base with the Chaos Black primer from the Citadel line of paints. So I'm kind of using the color that matches the primer I used. And I'm just going to very carefully paint around the edge of the base so they have a nice clean black finish. Once you're happy with the paints, you got one more thing you can do to kind of add some more thematic elements to the base, which is integrating some basic flocking. You have a couple options here of what you can do. You can kind of work some dirt in between the rocks to help sell that illusion it's a cobblestone road. Or maybe apply some just normal green flocking on some of the stones themselves to kind of give the idea that maybe the hero character is walking along a kind of old decrepit temple road and there's some moss growing on these rocks. Whatever story you're trying to do is certainly up to you, and whatever you come up with is probably going to look amazing. But of course, feel free to kind of deviate from this ideas a little bit and try new things out. Toss us some greens, blues, who knows what, and try to really create some cool looking rocks, or maybe even just try some really amazing colors like red. Maybe there's some sort of glowing magical things. Like I said, the world is up to you and it's your story you're trying to tell. I'm just hopefully helping you out in the process. So thanks for watching this video. Be sure to check out my Etsy store if you were interested in seeing where you can get a hold of these particular bases. You can find a link to the Etsy store down in the description of this video. Once again, I'm Jason, the creator of the Tabletop Battlefield. Thanks for watching.